got it? No? Yeah? All right. All right, this is going to be our initial test run for episode 1 of our podcast for collectibles, video games, and, general hobby stuff. I gave you, as you know, I gave you the list before of stuff I wanted to touch base with. A lot of the stuff is just from like the last week and a half, so it's pretty new shit that's been going on. Firstly, we'll start with that Jordan card. Did you read about that? That's fucking banana.
I read about it. Okay, so there was the Jordan card was there was a few sales this year in total, but the latest one
was like 900,000.
Yeah, so that was like in May this year, right?
Yeah, May of this year. It was like a PS. It wasn't even a PSA 10. It was a PSA 9, and it was his like true rookie card. Like I think it was like numbered 101 or something. And that same card sold. I don't know if it was the exact same grade. I think it was also the same grade. Like not too long ago for like $600,000. Like because I think there's like of like the population of cards that are of that grade, I think there's like 6 or 7 of them or something like that, and they all go for like high six figures. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's bananas.
So I'm gonna be completely honest with you, right? Like I know maybe this is actually a pretty good thing. When it comes to collectibles and when it comes to cards, I know absolutely zilch about it, right?
I mean, yeah, I just started learning. Other than comics, I just started learning, especially like sports cards. I was not I collected them as kids, but I didn't really follow with it, and not even like Pokemon cards either. Until like maybe 6 months ago. That's when I started. Actually,
so my experience with collectibles, I'll tell you what is my experience with collectibles. I had a friend growing up that we played Little League baseball together and went to junior high school together, and then we skateboarded for many years growing up. But his father collected everything, and like he called it like that was his retirement plan.
Yeah,
and he collected,
I know a lot of people like that.
I mean, he literally collected everything, right?
Yeah.
So there would be, I would just go over to his house, and there would be, those big giant plastic containers that you put stuff in. It would be like literally
like those bins
through the roof, from the wall to the roof, and it would be like everything from baseball cards to to comics to basketball to collectible figurines like bobbleheads to like all these things. So they moved away like I would say when maybe like after college. I sort of lost touch. I still keep in contact with his little brother, but sort of lost touch with my friend. And because the little brother still lives in Queens at this point. And then they moved to, I think, North Carolina, and they took all this. So I think, again, the father used to be a MTA cop, whatever, and then he was working security. But like that's what I think that was his retirement. So I don't know how is that going. Like I would love to get in contact and find out.
I feel like if he inherited all of it,
has that actually has that paid off? Like has he been selling those boxes? And again, we're talking video games, we're talking all these things, and like figurines, still in box, like Batman figures from the first Batman movie, from the early 80s, from before. It's like all these little things that like I would just be in awe, because I would go in, and how people have like display of like China, at least my experience, like you go in and someone has like dolls, plates and cups. Yeah. It would be like it would be like action figures and like and like baseball cards that were like graded already back then, and in
and
individual.
That wasn't like the thing back then. Like it was that nobody really did grading back then.
We're talking 1996.
That's what I'm saying. Like now it's a thing. Like back then it was unheard of.
Yeah. So that's why I wonder, like, if he was actually able to do all of that. I don't think he had a Jordan rookie card, but I know he had because he was a huge Yankee fan. Like he had the Derek Jeter rookie card. He had like Paul O'Neill rookie. Like all these players that were playing at that time, like he had all of their cards. I know for a fact.
But honestly, like it would only take one, maybe two items to be like huge and make that whole collection be worth like a lot of money, you know.
Right.
And then you add all of like the smaller things because then there's like especially if his collection is that massive, like he probably has like a bunch of other smaller things that are valued at like a few $100s a piece here or there. But
Yeah.
then it just
Yeah.
takes like one Jordan rookie card to be worth like 300 fucking thousand raw. And then if you get it graded $1 million, you know, like
Yeah.
it really doesn't take much. And if he has been collecting for that long, there's a solid chance he's got at
Oh yeah.
least two, three, four bangers that are like worth
Oh
a
yeah.
shit ton of money, you know?
I look, I that was I think even then I mean that was the emergence of Pokemon, right? Like
Yeah.
1998 or something
Yeah,
like that, at
99.
least here.
99 when it first came out.
So right, so like in
Yeah.
United States and stuff. So
Yeah. In the States, yeah.
I know like for example, his little brother had folders of Pokemon cards. So I don't know.
Oh
And
man, some of
again,
that stuff,
if
like those first edition ones, are worth a lot of fucking paper,
I
bro.
know, I know. That's what I mean. And that's my whole experience of collectibles. I have never gotten into it myself. And like I watched that Netflix show,
King of
whatever
collectibles.
that the yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That dude
yeah.
that he's a little
I
awkward.
mean, but he's making real money.
He's the
Yeah,
best, right? He's the
yeah,
top dog. I'm
yeah.
not
He's
gonna
making
say
a
anything,
crazy
right?
amount of
But
money. Yeah.
you know, but yeah, so that's my understanding. So when I was like looking into the rookie card and just reading up on it a little bit, yeah, I mean, it's the greatest player that ever lived. So what do you expect if not, you know, if not having that sale or having that card for that much, right? So yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, if you look at older sets of cards, especially which I've just learned recently, is that you know, like some of the older sets, especially through the 80s and 90s, they weren't very over time. They lost their value very quick, right? The only ones that retained value and actually became valuable were like really massive players, like a Jordan or a Gretzky or like a Tom Brady or like well Tom Brady's new has a more modern time but you get what I'm saying. It had to be like a goat, for them to like
Right.
their card to have held that kind of a value for that long, and
Uh,
most other cards, even like Magic Johnson cards, like even like his rookie card is not as expensive as you might think it would be. I mean, it's, don't get me wrong, if you have a really highly graded one, it'll sell for a few pennies. Like, it's not going to be cheap, but I mean, it's not $1 million card. It's like
right,
it's
right.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
again, I mean, it has to be a certain, you know, certain type of player that elevated himself
yeah,
above and beyond, right? So,
yeah, without a doubt. It's just I always like, it's funny because when I first got into the game of collectibles, right? I came in thinking like, okay, the older it is, the rarer it's gonna be, therefore it's gonna have more value. Like
right,
it's gonna be worth more, right? Because it's out of print. You're not gonna be able to find it, especially if you find it in good condition. Like, that's what I thought about these Marvel cards, right? Because I used to collect a shit ton of these Marvel cards, right? Like back from like the '90s, like the Fleer ones and all of that stuff, right? And I thought, hey, some of these Marvel cards are probably worth a good chunk of change, and even some of the rarer ones that I still have, like I even bought like a whole collection off some guy who was selling a bunch of cards to us, right? And a lot of them are not worth anything, even if you get them graded high, like really, like even if you get a perfect 10, which is super hard to get, you like, so the most expensive Marvel card would probably sell maybe like $1,200. I mean, it sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not that much compared to like what a sports card could sell for, or what a Pokemon card could sell for. Like, it's, look, or even like this new card game, the based off the One Piece anime, right? That one,
right,
some of those cards raw are, they like, up until like, so they just reprinted all of the sets, right? So that dropped the value down of all the cards. But before they did that reprint, there were chase cards that were valued over $1,000. Even right now, one of the sets has two cards that raw, like without grading, if you got it out of a pack, would sell for $2,500. You know, like
Wow.
yeah, like it's crazy. You know, so like it's interesting to see how like the values of certain like how certain things retain value while other things don't. You know, like especially like during COVID. You know, like you saw
Yeah.
how crazy people got with some of these collectibles and how much they were paying out for some stuff. You know, like it was
Well,
bananas.
I can tell you the one thing that I remember about collectibles also was the craze of the Beanie Babies and
Oh
how,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, like, that was quite insane. And like now,
Yeah.
I don't know if
Nobody
I
knows
don't
what
think
it
they're
is.
worth anything.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think I heard that's maybe I think there's like maybe one or two that are super like insanely rare that are worth something. But back in the day, like how crazy was it to try to find a BB? Like when it first came out, it was impossible. They were selling out like hotcakes, you know, like and then people were like even making fake ones. Remember, like there are counterfeit ones that people were making just because how crazy
I
everybody's getting for them.
remember.
Remember?
I
Yeah. So
remember.
like like that's the other thing, like whenever you have an industry that does so well like that, like that actually it's funny you talk about it. It's leading into our next topic, right, which is the fake slab, like the fake graded cards and fake graded comics. And like ever since the graded industry has gotten so large and so many people are grading things now, there's been so many scammers coming out ways to counterfeit graded cards or re-sleeve them into like let's say you have a comic book, right, and it got a much lower grade, and then you find you counterfeit the label to give it a higher grade, and then you re-sleeve it into that new grade, right? So you have a comic that's really worth a lot less, like it's actually like a 6.5, but you're putting it into a sleeve for like a 9.4 or whatever. So now you're making like a lot more money selling this thing, and that was one of the things. And then the
So
other things were, yeah, good.
so let me get straight. I understand the concept of it, right? But then as a collector, right? Let's say you get it sleeved, right, and it's graded at a higher grade. Are you even going to open it? Are you even going to look? Are you going to take it out? Like that's the question. If am I going to remove it from that grading plastic? Like once I receive it, and then how would I
No.
know? Right?
Well, there are ways to tell, right? Because you could tell like sometimes the seams are like kind of undone, and you could tell that. But yeah, you do have a point, right? You're never gonna open it, right? So it is it, it's more for if you it's more like the principle thing, right? Because you paid for something that you're
Of
believing.
course.
Yeah, right.
I,
Uh,
I completely agree with you. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying like it's almost like that few years ago about the same thing with like the fake wine, right? Like they used to
yeah,
just take
yeah,
old
yeah,
bottles,
yeah, yeah,
bottle it, and like you're never gonna drink $1 million wine that's like
yeah.
300
Exactly.
years old,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, how would you
So,
know? Like maybe it tastes like crap, right? So,
yeah, and
but
that's why a
yeah,
lot
so
of
it's
people get away with it for so long, right?
right,
Is
right.
because nobody's really checking, and that's why this scamming has been going on for a long time, and people have just been catching on because people have been making YouTube videos showing what like how some of the seams have been like kind of soldered or whatever, like melted together,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
or like how sometimes like the fonting on the labeling is off, like little things
right.
like that. Now people are catching on, and they're looking back at their collection, they're picking out stuff like, holy shit, this is fake. Like this is,
Oh
like
man,
that. That's how
that
people are
has to
finding out.
suck so bad.
Right?
Because
Can you
again,
imagine that?
it's not necessarily how much you paid for it, it's how much it's valued at, right? So
Yeah.
if you paid for it and the value can go up, right? But like if you paid for it and then you find out that it's fake or your grading has been fake, that it has to be a huge hit, like not
Yeah.
not only financially, but like also like an emotional and an ego hit. Like
Yeah.
you thought you
Exactly.
had this, and then
Especially
you
if it's
don't.
something you
But
cared about, like that had
yeah,
sentimental value, that would really
yeah,
hurt. Like like when I first started like picking up these graded comic books, a lot of it was just for my own personal collection, and I was just picking up books that I remember back when I was a kid, when I collected as a kid, I liked a lot, and.
right.
I picked up a couple of really dope like comics that are not really worth anything, but I just really love the comic and the cover, right? And this one, I think it was called Torok the Dinosaur Hunter. I had, and
Right.
yeah. So that it was the first issue, had a really dope like foil cover, right? So I picked that up at a 9.8, and I mean I didn't pay a lot. I paid like maybe 150 or something like that, right? And then just recently somebody pointed out that the comic is not the version of the comic that the label says it is, right? Because the label says it's the gold version, and the guy's like, "Yo," he showed me the gold version. He's like, "That's not the gold version." I'm like, "Fuck, I got scammed." Like I I didn't realize because I just assumed that it was the gold version because it was graded, and then I realized like the gold version looks slightly different, and
Mm.
like it sucks. I mean, thankfully I didn't lose a lot of money, but and it wasn't like a high value comic, but people are doing this stuff on even like low end comics, and everybody gets caught on it, which sucks because it's so prevalent now. Because the comic book cards and the collectibles and grading in general, because even like video games get graded now, and
Right.
all kinds of stuff like
Oh man,
video,
I
VHS.
feel I feel so silly because I've given away and sold and
Right,
thrown away so many video games that like are
dude.
now they have value, and I'm like, what do you mean?
I know.
Like
Can you like all those gold Zelda cartridges? You know how much they're worth right now? I mean, I had every single one, and some of them I had multiple copies, and they were like still mint in box, and I lost them along the way. And now they're worth a lot of money. Like Super Mario Brothers, the original one, just the cartridge, if you have it with the box, is worth like a few $100.
right.
It's crazy.
I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see right now. I'm just thinking of one game that I used to. I literally had. I had it everything in box, and oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
That's
I mean,
crazy. I had like, yeah, it's worth it's worth like $500.
yeah, I mean, people are grading this stuff now, and they're selling like a Super Mario in mint in box with a grade 10. I think sold for like $30,000. It was crazy. Yeah, like like some of these games I've had my entire life, and I've been, if I had just kept them, and I had like multiple copies of a lot of these games, and I mean, it's just like moves and
And I
fires
and
and all this stuff,
I was the weirdo that kept all. I had every
right?
like I
Kept all the
had the
boxes, yeah,
receipts. I had the box. I had the receipt
yeah,
inside the label because I would like, okay, I'm gonna put it there. All the little promotional
like the
materials, I would never throw it
booklets,
away. Like
yeah, everything, the
everything that
manuals,
came with
yeah.
it. So, but then like I threw away all the games, or like I gave them all away, or like
That
I
was my
sold
thing.
them pennies, or I resold them
Yeah,
to
or we sold
EB
them like
Games. Remember,
GameStop.
like
Yeah.
yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and then like I would like lend it to my nieces and nephews, and
Oh
like
yeah. Never
I
get it back.
got never get it back. So I lost so much stuff, comic books, cards, everything, man. It was crazy. All right, let's move along. Have you heard about the new God of War game that they're putting out? They're in production. They're not. It's gonna be a while till the new one comes out. But
Is it?
let's.
I try to look up on it. Is it based on where are they going out?
So
Egypt?
it's
No,
no Norse. It's Norse mythology. So
it's still
they do like
Norse.
Odin. Well, I don't know what the well maybe I don't know what the new game is. There's a lot of like rumors out there about where they're taking it, but
Right.
what is confirmed is that it's focused on his son now more so than like Kratos. So it's gonna be
Okay.
like his journey, and yeah, I think he's supposed to go somewhere new, but
You
I
know,
think it's gonna still involve.
I have the game. I haven't beat it yet.
You haven't? Oh, but you
It's
played it.
the new Norse mythology, not the new one, but the previous one, not the
Okay, so
most
God of
recent
War,
one.
not Ragnarok.
Correct. God of War, not
Okay,
Ragnarok. So I
okay.
have like I started it and then I don't know. Like it's not my it is my
It's
type
an
of game, but at
emotionally
the same
charged
time
game.
it's not my type of game. So
Yeah.
I'm in it, but I'm not so fully
No, I
invested
get
in
it,
it
because
that I would just like
yeah, because I mean, most people when they play video games, they want a lighthearted thing, right? Like this is a heavy story. Like you get like really invested and super
no.
emotionally
Don't
charged.
get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like yeah, it's I don't know if it's the because I used to love the old school like
Yeah, they were
God of
really good
War
games.
games.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were just like, just hack and slash and run around and blah blah
Yeah,
blah
yeah.
blah blah. And it's not the same, right?
No, it's like an open
And
world game. Yeah, it's different.
it's different. So
Yeah.
yeah. I'm a little bit like standoffish,
I don't blame you,
and
but I was too. But let me tell you, it's worth you playing it through the end because it is a really good game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And then the sequel is really good because the story is one of the best written stories for a video game I've ever played.
okay,
Like
okay.
that and like have you ever played Last of Us? Those two, like story wise, are like the most amazing stories in video games I've ever played. Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. But it's definitely worth
Yeah,
if you have it,
I
you
I
might as well finish it.
I have, obviously I have it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll get into it. But no, I like the thing that when I try to find out more info about it, what I did see that like they're saying like there was a rumor there might be Egyptian gods, or there was a rumor that
Yes.
it might be like South American gods, or so there's so many different
Yeah.
ways they can go with this, right?
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but touching on these sort of run around and kill gods games, what about the Wukong game that's just came out?
Oh yeah,
Have you
it's
played it yet? Again,
yes, I
I
have.
haven't bought it. I haven't bought it, but I literally watched someone on YouTube like play in like 7 episodes,
It is.
an hour
Yeah.
each, like, play the entire game, right?
It's a good game. I mean, I've played it. Like I haven't finished it. I haven't like really got into it because it's a difficult game as well. So like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not.
why I haven't bought it,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I try to
It's like
play.
a Dark Souls type of game. So
Correct,
like
correct. So
it's
I
not
try to,
easy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it's
And
like
I
Elden
try
Ring
to
took
play the.
so long to get into because it was
So
so
I
difficult.
dude, I have Elden Ring. I have like 24 hours into it, and I'm still not out of the
I
early
know.
stages
Yo,
of the game.
that
And I was
game
like,
is
I had
so
enough. I don't want to play this
Yo,
anymore.
yo, you
I don't
die
want,
like every second,
oh my
every time.
God,
Yo,
dude,
anytime like an enemy steps by, I'm like shitting my pants. Like I don't know,
yeah,
because any wrong move will like be instant kill, and you
yeah.
automatically start over. But
Yeah, and
that's why
I'm like,
it's hard for me to get
what's
into.
wrong with? It's like I know I'm pretty decent at games, but
Yeah,
why is this
I
happening?
know it's like insanely difficult, and like, and most of the time I play like I don't play on easy mode when I play games. I try to like play on a more difficult settings, but like these Dark Soul type games are just like on a whole nother level. Like they're just like they are the developers went out of their way to build a game that was just punishing you at all times. Like it
Yeah,
is relentless. But like I think the Wukong though it's like a really good game, and I think the story is really interesting. So I have tried to like get into it, but yeah, it takes a like I'll get into it. I'll like rage quit every time, because I'll get into it. I'll get so frustrated not being able to get through a part, and I just like, God, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to play this. I need to watch something that's gonna de-stress me.
yeah. No,
I
I
can't do
agree
this.
with you. I agree
Yeah,
with you. It's the
yeah,
same. It's the same thing for me, because I'm like, I have a limited set of time that I can devote to video
yeah,
games, and
exactly.
it's like, and if I'm not moving forward and I'm
Yeah, if I'm
back
not
at square
progressing
one,
through the game, yeah, like the
I get
story,
so
like what the hell am I
frustrated.
doing with this game? Like why? Like am I gonna sit here and just keep doing the same like 5 steps over and over? Like just trying to
Exactly.
get to the next like door or
Exactly.
entryway or exit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And it's
crazy.
like you look up and it's like 4 hours later and you're like, I
Yeah,
haven't done
yeah,
anything.
yeah, exactly. You like literally, I haven't even gotten past like the first like even not even the boss, like the first like 5 enemies. Like what is going on? Like I can't
I'm
even
telling
imagine.
you,
Yeah, like when I first started playing Dark
I
Souls.
am ashamed. I am ashamed about the Elden Ring, because I honestly I just gave up. I was like, I
Oh
bought
my
it,
god,
I
yeah,
started playing it, and I
me
just gave
too.
up. So
Yeah, I've
but
yeah to this day I've gotten really far into that game and I have not passed it. Like I'm not, and I have no illusions of ever trying to pass it unless I do like cheat my ass off and download it on the PC and do like a trainer or something. Like that's the only way I could ever see myself actually completing that game. Like it's impossible. Yeah.
and then I watch people make builds, like they make
Yeah.
builds of characters.
my God.
And like, okay, I'm only gonna be using archery and like or you know, I'm like,
No,
what? How?
the crazy thing is how people find out about like these because they're like especially these like Elden Ring, right? There are parts of the game that are so difficult to get to, and they have like these crazy items, and these guys are like getting these like ultimate weapons that destroy. I'm like, how do you find this stuff? Like how much time are you devoting to exploring that world? Because it's massive. Like it is one of the largest maps you could ever encounter, and some of
Yeah.
these guys are literally like checking every nook and cranny of this game. Like
Yeah.
it's
That's
crazy.
probably another reason why I gave up on it. I was like, I saw how
Yeah.
large it is. I was like, you
No,
know what? I don't.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
You know what
I
rocked
could
my
have. I
world?
you know, I wasn't working for 6 months, so I could have devoted and became really good at that game for 6 months. But
Yeah.
then I feel like my entire life would have been that game.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. Exactly. You would have been like obsessed with it. No, but you know the thing that rocked my world about that game is not only is there like a massive like world map, right? But then there's a secondary world map because there's like an under like catacomb area, and it's almost as big as the regular surface map. So
I
like
don't even know.
two
I
world
don't even
maps,
know that.
like it's
I
crazy.
don't even know that. I'm so glad I stopped playing it.
That's what I'm saying.
Anybody wants to buy that game from me? Holler.
Yeah, that game is crazy, bro. That game is insane. I don't know how people do it. Anyway, moving on. This is probably not your cup of tea, but have you heard about the Hogwarts Legacy? That thing has a cult following like you wouldn't believe. Like people are
So
obsessed with that game.
you are correct. It is not my cup of tea. But I also don't. I mean, it came out on what? On the Switch? No.
No, it came out on PS5 first, or
Oh,
PlayStation,
okay.
and then they released it
That's
for
right.
all the consoles. Yeah.
That's right. So it's a Hogwarts like RPG, right? Like
Yeah,
and
essentially.
yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
what it is.
no, no, no. I have not. I've never played it. I've never watched it.
It's a
I'm,
good
you
game if you
know,
like RPGs. I mean, it's
it's
just
not. It's
like I'm surprised at how big of a cult following it has. Like it's a decent game, but like people are go crazy over it, and like now they're putting there's rumors that part two is coming out, and everybody's just going crazy about it.
I mean, look, Harry Potter has
Oh yeah,
it's a phenomenon
it's like
that
a culture.
started
Yeah,
from books into movies into
yeah.
video games, right? So it's a natural progression, and people are still reading the books and
Oh my
still
god.
still rewatching the movies. Like my
Yeah,
sister-in-law, whenever she comes over, she'll just put it on and they'll play it in the background, even though she's seen these movies for like 30, 40, 50
yeah.
times. She'll
Yo,
just play them in the background. It's like, oh yeah, I know this happens. I'm like, great. I
I
mean, I've
remember.
watched the movies. You know, to be honest, I've watched the movies. I think I never saw the ending. I'm just saying, I never.
Blasphemy.
I,
Blasphemy.
I got up to like a certain movie and I was like, I'm gonna go to a party instead. Like,
I'm gonna have a social life. Yeah. No,
yeah,
you know
I
what the
think
funny thing is?
and I never went back. Like, it's funny because then I rewatched I watched all of the prequels, right? That
Yeah,
came
yeah.
out much later. I've seen all of those, right? I've like there's three of them, right? Three or
Yeah,
four of them, three, right?
Fantastic Beasts. There's three of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen them, like, and I
Yeah, yeah.
enjoyed those. And I sort
Yeah,
of
those are a lot more adult. That's why, and it's
okay.
just the characters are more relatable. But the funny thing is, it reminds me of a story. One time I was just rolling over to visit William at his house, and I was like, yo, well, I just called him. I was like, well, you mind if I come through? I haven't seen you in a bit. If you're not doing anything, he's like, yeah, come by. I get there, and his sister-in-law is having like this Harry Potter themed scavenger hunt through their house. And they're all like there's all of the food they made was like Harry Potter themed. Everything they're like they were like things that they hid around the house. There was
That's
Harry Potter
amazing.
themed, and then the whole thing was like being like narrated through something that they had set up on the TV. I don't know if it was like something they paid for, like it was a recording that they paid for, or they made it themselves or something. But it was like on the TV, giving everybody instructions and telling what them to do and what they're looking for. It was,
You were the muggle that didn't belong, huh?
yes, I was so like, I was like amazed, impressed, and like weirded out all at the same time. Like I was like, what is happening right now? Like, what did I walk into? It was so funny. Yeah, and like
Uh,
honestly, the best part was I was the only one normally dressed. Like everybody's in outfits. There was a guy dressed as Voldemort there. Then everybody had like the robes of
I
their
think that's
house.
the only thing I can go for with this face. I think
Yeah,
Voldemort is the only
yeah.
character that I could play.
I think you got that tall, lanky look. Though. It'll
Yeah,
work
yeah,
out.
and then I just add a face to the back of my neck, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You just gotta figure out how to get rid of the nose. You know, you got that. Gotta have that serpent look.
Not possible. Not
Yeah.
possible. This
Oh man. All right, let's move on. Have you heard about this first person shooter Concord that shut down after only 2 weeks of being live?
So I looked into that. But I think I don't know the reason for it, right? Well, people not playing it probably.
Yeah.
But then I think everyone is they like the FPS space, right? Like I'm of the old school FPS sort of mindset.
Like
I still
Halo and
play, yeah, like I
GoldenEye.
still play like the Call of Duty,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
third one, that they just released
Modern
like
Warfare.
earlier this year. Yeah, and I still prefer like the PvP sort of style where it's in the, like multiple deaths. Like honestly I still haven't played the one where it's like I think I played one or two games where it's like 100 people start off like the deathmatch
You talk
style,
about like
and then
like
there's
Fortnite or PUBG and those. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then that one I understand it's like the one I'm sorry, what's the name of the game again?
Fortnite or PUBG.
No. The
Oh,
one that was canceled.
Concord. Concord.
Concord. So
Yeah,
Concord is like Overwatch, right? Like that's the way
yeah.
that
It's like
I see it.
Overwatch. Yeah, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Overwatch. Yeah, yeah.
And I think like again, it's just it's kind of unfortunate. They're trying to come out with these games, and like for that type of game to work, you need an online presence, right?
Yeah,
And
you
I
need an
think
audience. Yeah,
because you need 4 or 5 people to be on each team for it
yeah,
to actually work properly, and for the team game to actually develop and online to be. So it's I think those type of games and that kind of setup, it's so difficult to woo the audience away from something that
yeah,
they're already comfortable with. And again, there's a specific type of person. Like I personally, I don't play that type of first person shooter.
yeah. Me neither.
It's not
Not
for
my
me.
thing.
It's not, it doesn't
Yeah,
work for me. Right. So again, you're limited to that number of audience who enjoys that type of gameplay. And they're already set and they're already playing, again, everything from, Overwatch to like even for the kids, the one that like they run
Fortnite.
around with the
Yeah,
paints.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
like
Fortnite.
all of
Yeah,
those. So it's but Fortnite is different from that. Like Fortnite and Overwatch are like they're slightly different setup for those games, right? So
yeah, yeah.
you
Fortnite's
don't
a
really
single
because
player.
you
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Overwatch is more of a team game. So yeah,
correct,
it
and
is.
like you have
Yeah, yeah,
objectives and you have
yeah,
like
yeah.
you
It's
have
it's
people
definitely a
backing you
different.
up with
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
yeah.
So I feel there's, again, I don't know I presume again the reason is that people weren't playing it, and then
Yeah,
they
that's
just cut their
100% it. I think.
losses.
Well, I think a big thing is they didn't market the game well when they were in
I've never heard of it. I,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm a video game fanatic. Like I play anything and everything, right? So like the fact that I didn't even
right.
hear about it is ridiculous, right? So I think it was a combination of marketing, poor execution when the game went live, right? They were buggy at first, and it just the game was like they did like it was a fun game to play, but they didn't revolutionize it. They didn't do anything different, right? It was just basically like a clone of like Overwatch, right? It's basically
Yeah.
you wanted
Just
to,
different skins.
yeah, exactly, different skins, right? So if you were a fan of those games, why wouldn't you just not play Overwatch, which is a much more polished game, right? Versus this, which is brand new. It's got to grab your attention, which it's not doing, and it's not as polished as like a game that's already been out for a long time, and it's had updates and all of that stuff, right? So I think it was a combination of those things. But yeah, it's wild to see, especially a game that's solely based online, right? Is for it to go dark after only 2 weeks. It's crazy.
But wasn't there like a zombie vampire sort of game that this very something similar story happened to it? It was like it was sort of again Overwatch based, and it was like you had like it was
Talking about
yeah,
Bloodline? No, sorry,
yeah,
Vampire Masquerade or whatever that thing is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Not,
That
was
actually
it?
stayed live for a longer than you might think. I think it stayed live for like almost a year before, but it was
Right,
very short. Yeah, it was very short. But the
right.
thing is, like, for it to go off in 2 weeks, right? That's not even enough time for you to have like to build a player base. When you first launch a game, you need to give it time for people to acclimate, to see if they like the game, and then see if they're going to repeat and continue
You
playing it, right?
you think it was okay? Let's go into the bizarre world of Carolus's mind. You think it was like couldn't have been again like a sort of like running the scenarios from and learning from previous experiences and sort of I wouldn't say like AI generated sort of cancellation, but looking at it and saying, okay, so we've seen what these games do, and if they're not hitting within the first couple of weeks or the first few days of hype, then even if we keep it on for 1 year, right? Like let's say the vampire
Oh yeah,
masquerade or whatever it
yeah.
was,
I see
like
your
and
point.
and
Yeah,
and then making the decision like, okay, it's just better for us to cancel it now, cut our losses that we already have, and then just focus our efforts and restructure the team to focus on other projects or fire them
I
or
think that,
whatever.
yeah, I think that was the math that they did, right? That was the
Right.
like they looked at like how many online players they had at any given time, how much player base they had in total, and they probably made that exact calculation. They're like, okay, if we're doing this poorly now, trends say that it's only going to either get worse or it's going to stay about the same. It's not going to get any better, and we've already sunk in $150 million into this. We need to reallocate our resources to something that's going to actually make money, right? So yeah,
Right,
I'm
right.
I think that's exactly what happened, and I think that's exactly
Do
why
you
they
think do you
shut it
think
down so
do you
fast.
think that's the future of gaming? Like again, because it's so weird, right? Like I remember just us talking about video games when we were kids, and everybody's like, we were the outcasts, and now video games is just part of daily life, daily reality for people.
Yeah,
Whereas before we were like, yeah, you guys are, geeks and dweebs and go play
not
your games
anymore.
in fantasy worlds.
Now
I
people
know
make
it's
millions.
way
Yeah,
bigger than the movies now, right? It's the
yeah.
industry itself.
I mean,
It's
look at
way bigger than
Twitch,
that.
look at the tournaments and
Oh,
like
dude.
these esports tournaments, like and forget about tournaments. Like look at the like Doctor Disrespect that Nate loves to watch, and all of these other guys.
Yeah,
These like or Mr. Beast or Ninja. These guys make so much money just playing video games and just letting
yeah,
people watch them play video games.
yeah. I mean,
They're not
look,
even
the
doing competitive.
T-Pain is streaming now, and people watch,
Yeah, that's
his
what I'm
stuff.
saying.
I mean, I'm one of them. I'm one of those people who
Yeah,
does watch it.
yeah.
So
I mean, people watch them
it,
all the time.
yeah, and I remember like you remember coming over to my house, and I used to watch like
Yeah,
I used to watch Twitch,
yeah.
and people like, what the hell is Careless? I was like, yeah, I don't have cable.
You were actually
I'm
my
just
first
watching.
exposure to it. You
Yeah,
you
and
exposed
I'm
me to
just
Twitch for the first time.
yeah, like I'm just watching people play video games. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, someone's playing. I'm watching it. I'm having a
Yeah,
great time. It's like being over at a friend's house watching them play video games,
yeah.
and if I can interact via chat. So yeah, I mean, I've been on that for a long time. So it's kind of weird to go again from being the obscure person. It's like who was like just in TV, right? Which was like the predecessor to Twitch, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
all of a sudden now it's like, like, oh, this is like everybody knows about it. What do
Yeah,
you
now it's
mean?
a
This is
thing.
so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Now it's
even
all
YouTube now
commonplace.
it's sort of copied the concept, right, for
Yeah,
live
yeah,
streaming
yeah.
and stuff. So,
Streaming, yeah, yeah, live,
um,
like IRL
but
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
that's what in a way also worries me, that because now the industry is so large that potentially the future of video games is something like this, where, we used to have servers, like people still keep certain games, keep their servers live for like 10 years, 20 years.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's people
Look
bringing
at Final
the
Fantasy
games that they
14.
love, they still bring back, like they create
Yeah,
their own server and
yeah,
they
yeah.
bring the games back, even though there's no longer any technical
World of
support for it,
Warcraft,
or
all
there's
of them.
no,
Yeah,
yeah, like there's no servers anymore for those games, right? And people are still playing, like Need for Speed Underground. People are still playing
yeah,
that
yeah,
live
yeah.
online. Like
GTA,
there's
yeah,
yeah. So I feel that in a way, I don't know what it was. Like it was, I think there was a lawsuit in Europe for like a game to shut down its server. And then they said, like, again, because people spent the money and there was an
and they still
expectation of
wanted to
them.
play. They had to keep them open.
Correct.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Correct. Correct.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know how much, like maybe again, those laws will allow for games to stay on longer. But imagine how you feel as someone who did purchase that game, right? And someone who did pay the
Yeah,
money and would still want to continue to play it, maybe, whatever, maybe not every day, but
I
like
think.
once a week or something. And all of a sudden the servers are shut down in 2 weeks. Are you are Can you get a refund? Like can you
So
like what's the deal with that? Like what would be the process of something like this?
see, so I think as the industry right now, the industry is just becoming more mainstream, right? So as it becomes larger and more mainstream, I think you will have more cases like that where a
Yeah.
game will shut down and there's still going to be a lot of a player base that still want to play the game, and they're going to be upset by that, right? But
Right.
I don't think right now there's enough of a like disgruntled population for there to be some kind of like class action lawsuit or something like that to force a like publisher of a game to keep their servers running, so they're
Well,
whoever
it
bought the game
reminds me of
is like,
it reminds me of like the remember there was like people suing um movie companies based on falsified trailers. Like the trailer was
yes, like misleading and
and
stuff.
I
Yeah,
went and I yeah, misleading trailers, and I went and I paid the money, and that's not the movie that you are portraying. Like I think there was a lawsuit like long time ago
yeah.
about something like this. So I wonder if that's going to be like the future of video games. Like,
Well,
hey, this was like you sort of, again, you told me I'm buying this game, I'm expecting to play it, it's online only, right? Because it has no it has no storyline, right?
no, I think it's
And
mostly.
then
I mean, I
like
think there is
I
a
paid
short campaign, but that's it.
I paid like $60-$70. I don't know
Yeah,
how much it was,
it's
right?
expensive.
a
Yeah,
hundred dollars. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I get nothing out of this. Like I get
well,
zilch.
I,
Like
I think there's definitely gonna be people
if
who
if
there
there's
are gonna be
if
lawsuits
there's
filed, right?
any if there's any of those people, listening to this, let me know. We'll find a lawyer.
Yeah, we'll get some good,
Let's get this
we'll get some
started.
class action lawsuits going. No, but
Let's get this
it's like,
started.
well, I think it's like
I
any
would only take
entity.
10%. I'll take a 10% fee. That's
Get the
all I'm looking
finder's fee,
for.
right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, no, but I think there's always like when you're a big company and you're putting out a product at that kind of a volume, you're always gonna have people that kind of sue you for different things, right? Do things that they're upset about, right? But I think a company like these companies are gonna continue doing this. They're gonna keep just operating the same way until there's a large enough population of disgruntled people to affect change, right? And you need a lot of people, and to like force a government to pass a bill that would say, hey, this is the standard that all video game companies have to live by, and say, okay, if you have a game and there's this many people, but then like when you do that, then you also have to put in like thresholds, and you have to put in exact numbers, right? Because they're not the government's not just gonna leave it open ended or vague as to like what constitutes the time frame, right? Because like with Concord, I'm sure if it was like only 2 weeks, they would get sued, right? Or if it was like against the law, they would get penalized. But let's say if it was like a World of Warcraft that's been around for 25, 30 years, at that point, and they need to shut down because of financial reasons, at that point, can you really make the argument saying, hey, they should, but they've been around they gave 35 years of entertainment to their customers got their money worth, you know what I'm saying? So
No, no, that I agree. Yeah.
yeah, there has to
Like
be
there
a
has to be,
threshold, you know?
yeah, like a minimum, like if you release something,
Yeah,
there's like a minimum time that that thing is live for people
exactly.
to,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 2 weeks is the minimum. Who knows? Like,
I think 2 weeks is way too short. I think
well,
it has
maybe currently it is, right? Currently, there's no lawsuits yet, so
yeah,
currently 2 weeks is the
exactly, exactly.
minimum. You got to keep it
Yeah.
open.
But I also think the game wasn't good enough either. That's the other factor, right? The game also has to
Yeah.
be good, right? Because people have to love it. Because if it's just a shitty game, nobody's gonna care enough to sue over it, right? So like it also has to be something that everybody loves, right? Like because if it was like if it was like a Mario game, right, that everybody's obsessed about, you'd get a lot more lawsuits. Like if somebody was getting like seizures or something from playing Mario, you get a lot of lawsuits and
Whoa! They give a discrepancy. They give a
yeah.
thing if you have,
Well, that's why they did that,
they're
right?
already,
That's why they did that
they
because
covered themselves. They
yeah.
covered themselves.
Yeah. But that's why that happened, right? It's because people were upset, like, oh, people are getting seizures, so they had to sue because of that shit, like
Yeah.
that's just, it's just I think it's part of being a large company and doing business. You kind of get just that's how you deal with customers because there's always gonna be somebody who's upset, so somebody's angry, and there's they're gonna want to get money compensated for it, So
Yeah, that's a little bit of a, it's a crazy story when you think of, like,
yeah,
I've never
yeah,
heard within 2 weeks.
yeah. That's wild.
It's
That's so
yeah.
fast. Because like even if you were doing that
But again,
calculation,
like, how much does it cost? Like, again, the cost of servers, right? Again, maybe they were over predicting
yeah,
their
I'm sure they thought they were gonna have a lot
popularity.
more players. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like let's be honest, it's not cheap to maintain a server farm, right? Like you need to, and to be honest, they're probably not large enough to even have their own server farm. They probably rent space from a
Correct.
different server
Correct.
farm, right? So
Right.
these for as long as they're operating the game, they have expenses, right? Because they have to pay for somebody to maintain it and make sure they have moderators and administrators and all this stuff that are overseeing the game and the players, right? So all that
Yeah.
stuff is not cheap.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it probably just made more sense for them to just cut the
Yeah.
losses, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's unfortunate. I mean, if that's the future of video games, that you buy a
Well,
video game and it goes down in 2 weeks, like it's really sad, to be honest.
well, I think that might happen more often because a lot more games have that online feature because they're trying to capitalize on that game on that market. But I think, to be honest, unpopular opinion, I think what the real future of gaming is going to turn out to be is, and it's saddens me and it's kind of disgusting, is there's this whole new string of free to play games, right? Where they don't charge you anything for you to download the game and play it, or some of them are even on consoles. Like there was a game called Genshin Impact, and there's other games like that. They're free to get, but once you get the game, if you want to progress through the story or play it, you have to pay, and there's so many microtransactions, and that's what the industry is turning into, is microtransactions.
It's already here. It's already here.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I'm saying.
I
That's the
played
future of the
I
video
played
games.
I played NBA 2K24. Honestly, with how good and how much the game has advanced, it has gone backwards in so many ways. Like, I haven't played a 2K game other than like a quick play. Like, I went through the storyline for the first time in, I would say, 10 years or so, right? Because I just haven't played it. I haven't had the time to invest in it. And it's so infuriating that, like, the game takes, number one, like I remember used to play the storyline and things were just moving along. Now I have to leave the arena. I have to go roam around and buy these trinkets and tools, and to me it was like such a waste of time. I just want to play the game, but like for me to progress, I have to go outside into the the town that they're in, and like use my unicycle, single wheel electric scooter to go to practice, and like go meet players in other parts of the map for them to give me my quest so I could get a little bit of credits so I could update my player. As I was so frustrated, and then oh man, you know. Anyways, the Knicks won the championship. That's all that matters. I was on their squad.
Yes.
So
Only
yeah,
if that was
at least
reality. Only
I
if.
got that accomplished. I made that a
Yes.
reality. You know, I was averaging 34 points a game, let's just say, and that was that. But yes, that alone, like those
Yeah.
microtransactions,
That's what's killing me
it's
about video games nowadays is and it's like pervasive enough to the point where like even like some of the bigger games and bigger titles that you get you know when you were excited about there's like microtransactions going on even within those games like even like Last of Us or like you know God of War you know like you there are things that like you don't have to buy them to progress through the story but they're
no,
always trying to
no.
push something on you you know and like it's starting to get into those games where they're constantly trying to get you to buy other things while you're playing that game you know and that's what worries me the most is that every game is going to become like that to the point where if you want to really like get a really great story and get to the end of the game you're going to have to spend a lot more money than just $60 to get the game you know like
But
that's the
you
worst part.
know, don't quote me on this, but watch out for those subscription fees also. Like, hey,
Yeah, exactly.
you want to continue, you buy a game for $100, you want to continue playing it? Well, guess what? It's only $3.99 each
Yeah,
month, you know, like and plus microtransactions. So, oh, you want to
yeah.
keep that outfit? It's not only you
Exactly.
have to first buy it, that outfit costs, you know, 20 cents every week or 20 cents every month. Like I
Yeah,
feel that,
it's
you know,
crazy.
eventually that's where it's end up
Yeah,
going, right? Like the Netflix Amazon model, right? Like you get a subscription, you get all these things,
yeah.
but you know your subscription runs out. You don't really own anything. It's not really
That's the
yours.
worst.
So
Yeah,
don't
that's why like
again. I hope that doesn't happen. AI, if you're listening, don't give these ideas away.
Don't give it away. No, but like that's why I'm more of a fan of like single player games and like games that you can play offline, right? Because you don't have to deal with a lot of that stuff. But
Yeah,
sadly, more and more games are interjecting online features into your games, so you can't even
agreed.
play it unless you're connected to the internet
Agreed.
nowadays. You know, like
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Agreed. It's and like you know, for myself, who I live in Indonesia, my internet goes down sometimes still, and I'm
Yeah.
in the capital, and my internet goes down. And does that mean like I can't play the games anymore?
Yeah,
Like,
some of these games, yeah, you can't even play them
yeah,
because you don't have an internet connection, yeah, which is
yeah.
the worst. Yeah, but what can you do? All right, well, let's move along. Oh, I thought you'd like this. I threw this in there. Did you hear about the Carmen San Diego game?
I did hear about the Carmen
Yeah.
Sandiego game.
Do you remember
Uh,
watching the TV show back in the day?
I
Oh
mean,
my God.
it's like 30 years too late, but
Yeah, I know,
sure.
right? For real.
It's
Why did we never get one during the 90s when we were playing like Super Nintendo and like N64, you know?
I mean, look, there was the Magic School Bus game or something, or
Yeah.
like Exploration that existed.
Yeah.
You
Why not
know?
a San
And now,
Carmen San
like,
Diego
how
game?
do you explain, like, how did, what? See, I can't even form sentences.
And like I don't even know if kids these days even know who Carmen Sandiego is. Like, why are you
They
making a game
don't.
about this?
Isn't it? Like, wasn't there a Netflix show, right? Wasn't there a Netflix Carmen Sandiego or something like
Yeah.
that?
There was. Yeah.
So was the audience so large that it would require a
I
game?
would
Like,
I would assume so because the game is based on that cartoon from Netflix, right? So I would assume so. You know, so I mean, but I don't know. I don't know. I just never realized it was still that
I
popular. You
mean,
know.
I'm not gonna play it.
Yeah, I mean, either. I don't think I'm ever gonna play it, but it was a fun piece of nostalgia. You know, like it reminded me of the TV show. You know, so it was interesting.
But that's again, well, you know, they'll probably shut down their servers in 2 weeks. Who knows? Like,
Yeah, you never know. You never know. It might be that bad. I don't even know if it
I,
even has any online features, but we'll see.
yeah, like what would be the how? Okay, like again, maybe the concept was too much for '90s game to handle, but
Maybe.
like releasing it 30 years from the peak of Carmen San Diego.
I don't even
Like
get it.
if you ask a Gen Z, forget Gen A, we're not even talking Gen A, right? If
Yeah.
you ask a if you ask a you know Gen Z or Gen, you know, I don't know, man, just
Any
Not even a
millennials?
millennial.
Yeah,
You ask a
yeah.
millennial, they won't know who Carmen
They won't
Sandiego
even know.
is.
Yeah.
Like you ask Gen Z, they have no clue, and Gen A will be like, Carmen who? It's the same thing like saying Carmen Sandiego and Carmen Electra are at the same sort of
Yeah.
level. Like
Same
who's
thing. Yeah.
Carmen
Same thing.
Electra?
Like
Nobody
nobody's gonna
knows
know either
anymore.
one. Yeah. Nobody's gonna know
Exactly.
either one.
So
Yeah.
I wish him good luck, but I feel like it's a just
Yeah. I don't think it's
put
gonna
your
do
effort
well.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to bring it back, like like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had like 4, 5, 6 iterations of like movies, cartoon changes.
Yes.
Like they were on
And
Nickelodeon. Now there's a new one. There's the re-release of the Shredder game, right? For sort of like again
yeah.
nostalgia's sake, and
And
it's
they
been
always like
in the
start
forefront.
over. Yeah,
Correct.
like so like everybody gets reacquainted with what's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then they
Yeah.
also do it well. Like this movie was really funny. It was really good, So like it was worth watching, So
Yeah.
I think yeah that was that was a good point.
Yeah.
But okay,
See,
let's
Indonesian internet. I got stuck.
yeah, nice. Tends to happen. I don't blame you. It happens. All right, next topic. The PS5 Pro. Did you look that up?
I I saw it when it was first announced,
Yeah, I think it's the
and
most dumbest thing.
I watched so many memes about it. It was so funny. It's
Yo,
like, oh look, this is it, and
yeah.
I don't see the difference. I don't
Yo,
see the difference.
that's number one.
My eyes don't see the difference.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's the crazy thing is the PS5 is such a powerful device as it is. Like there is not I don't think there's a single game that that wouldn't run well on a PlayStation 5. And still have room for it to grow. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know why they thought like, oh, our games are not running well on the system. We need a stronger device, and we need to charge $200
You
more.
know why.
You know?
You know why.
Yeah,
You
I
know
know. They're
why.
just trying to make more money. Yeah,
Funny.
yeah.
That's it.
It's
You know
not, that's
why.
it. They're
Come
just
on,
trying to make
stop
money.
it.
It's like, but it's
That's
crazy,
it. That's
and
all
it's like
it is.
$200 more, and not only that, but it's a download only device, right? So there's no disc, so you can only play digital games. So now you
So
lose.
I purchased the PS5. I made it my effort to buy a PS5 with a disc drive, even
Yeah,
though I know it's going out of style. But I made sure. I mean,
no,
most of my
it's
games I
key,
buy
dude.
are digital anyways, right? But I do have a few disc games that, like, again, if the internet
Yeah,
goes down, I want to be able to play something. Like,
that's what I'm
apocalypse
saying.
happens. I want to make sure.
Yeah, you gotta have the
Okay.
hard disk, Like, come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
no,
exactly.
but
So
yes, it's just crazy that they're putting out this new system. They're talking about how it's so much more powerful, and they're talking about not the best part is they're also saying like, oh, it's 8K compatible, right? But number one, they don't put there's not a single game that's made in 8K, and almost nobody has an 8K TV. So like, why even have that feature? Why brag about that
listen,
feature?
my eyes are only 6K. Okay, the
That's it.
quality of my eyes only goes to 6K.
Oh, you're
I
good.
don't,
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference anymore between they're like, look, I get it, I get it. It's all about progression and the evolution and making it better and like, but the reality, like, I know it's all a money making scheme. They know they can't release another PlayStation for like another 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I also feel it's not doing enough. I am, even though you're the one that plays video games way more than me, right?
I do.
So
I play a lot.
in terms of like, you're the person they're focusing on, right? You're the gamer, right?
Yeah, that's
I'm the person I'm the casual gamer. You're the more like, I can't call it professional because you don't get paid for it, but
yeah, but yeah, let's say addict.
right.
But
That's a bit of a harsh word. Let's not say that word. But
there's a lot of judgmental overtones on that one.
correct. But you're the target market. Will you buy one?
100%. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like even I am like shocked by this move. Like it makes no sense to me. And exactly because of that point, because I am their target market, right? I'm the person that is always looking to get the new console and play the dopest game out there, right? So, but it makes no sense to me because there isn't a single game that would require a stronger device because it's the PlayStation 5 is so powerful as it is. Like it has all the most advanced features. It does everything. It does things that most most of your like TV, your speakers, and all that stuff can't even handle. So like, why would I need to get another one that's even more powerful than that one? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
And
even
I
now,
still
like,
feel, I still feel that it hasn't reached its, full capacity in a way.
yeah,
Like I still feel there's so much more that people can squeeze
100%.
out of that machine that they're still learning how to do. They're
Oh
still
yeah.
the use of the Unreal Engine and all of that. Like
Oh
they're
my god,
still trying to figure out how much more they can squeeze out of the PS5.
dude. If
And
Dude, if people could figure out how to bootleg it, or not bootleg it, but like kind of jailbreak it and get into it, the things that they could do with the just like the powerful chipset, the graphics card that they have in there, the motherboard, everything in there is top of the line. But it's restricted by Sony, right? Because Sony puts a lot of like just controls and things on there so that people can't hack into it and stuff. So it limits a lot of what that that kind of hardware can actually do. So like if you open it up, man, dude, that thing is capable of doing a lot of things. It has as much power as most like desktop rigs, and like even my own rigs, and I build my rigs future proof, right? Like when I build my laptops, they're gonna last me for at least 10 years, right? Because I get all the top of the line CPU, graphics card, everything. So uh, to say like, hey, I think you should buy another device for $200 more, like it just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me
yeah, I
because it was
agree. I
already
don't.
expensive as it
I
is,
mean,
right?
yeah. Look, I don't. How much is a PlayStation right now in US? I don't know. What's the cost of a
Four
PlayStation 5 in
hundred
US
and
right now?
like $470, something like that, right there, give or take.
What is it?
Four hundred
Say it again.
seventy ish.
Yeah, dude, it's still a lot of. It's
Yeah,
still a
that's what I'm
lot of
saying. It's
like.
almost like five hundred
Granted,
dollars.
400. Okay, $500 is not what it used to be, right? But considering like Jordans cost $200 these days, right? But
Yeah,
$300 sometimes. But
bananas.
like it's not what it used to be, but at the same time, it's still a lot of money. Like here
Yeah,
I was just in Singapore, and my buddy said that he saw there was a promo for PlayStation that was like on sale for like I would say around 200, 250, $300. And then he's like,
nice.
I didn't buy it. It was at the airport. Like when you're at the Singapore airport, can you please go and check it out? If they're still selling it for that price, can you please pick it up? And I went there. No, it's 600 Singapore dollars,
Yeah,
700 Singapore dollars, which is like around like 500,
that's what I'm saying. It's
500,
not,
500, 550 US.
dude.
It's
If I
still more
get,
expensive than it is in the States. It's still more expensive
yeah,
than it is in the States. But imagine it was like technically $200 for
dude, if
PlayStation.
I would have
If
bought the whole
if
store,
that was the case,
I would have
if
bought
that
everything
was
on
the
the left.
case, right? If that no, but I'm saying that for resale purposes. Let's say if the price of the PlayStation were to go down to let's say $300, right? For right now instead of 500.
Yeah.
And then the new one is selling for 6, then I would say there's a case. There's a
Yeah,
case
okay.
behind
Yeah,
it,
I
right?
see. I
There's
see your point.
there's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If it's just like, yeah, if it was just like slightly more expensive, that's one thing, right? That's one thing. But
yeah.
but now you're saying it's $200 more, which is almost half of what it normally costs, right? You're adding to the base price of 500. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. And like a lot of these people who are playing
Yeah.
these games are
Look,
younger, and they don't have that kind of money.
when I bought my PlayStation, I paid close to $1,000 for it. Right?
Yo, not
Just
cheap. I know.
because I'm in Indonesia and those type of
Yeah,
things just cost way
yeah,
way
yeah,
more
way
money,
more.
right?
Yeah.
They just cost way more money, right? So I honestly, I don't. Again, the target market is sort of again someone like you and someone who games. Maybe again a lot of these streamers, right? A
Yeah.
lot of these people but then it's a very limited community. But are you really recouping your money? Like, is it you're technically, I wish they would come out like what they used to do, come out with like a slimmer version of the
Yeah.
product right?
That's
And like,
marketable, right? Because that's
yeah,
so some people like having like a smaller device because they have less
correct.
space to work with, right? They have smaller rooms, smaller apartments, so you don't want to take it up so much space. And the PlayStation 5 is a big thing, like it's not small and it's
It's
heavy,
big.
you know?
It takes up a lot of space on my,
Exactly.
TV console.
Yeah,
I still have a TV console. Most people
yeah,
don't, right? Because
exactly.
my TV is
So
too big to hang on the wall. But anyways,
yeah, mine too. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's something I can make a case for potentially purchasing, right?
right.
Because that just makes sense. There's definitely a market for that. But if you're pretty much just putting out the same console, just stronger like internal hardware, that just makes no sense to me because it doesn't need it. There's no
I'm not gonna get it.
yeah,
I'm not.
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let's. Since we're talking about consoles, have you heard about the Switch 2?
I have not.
Yeah,
This I have not. I have not heard. And I think, I think I would agree it's about time. I think
yeah.
it's about time.
So,
Uh,
so it definitely is. I think
is
they've
there
been really tight-lipped.
is there like a preview of it? Has anyone leaked
No,
what like what potentially would look
no.
like?
So the only thing that the rumor mill has come up with is a patent that was filed by Sony. Sorry, not Sony, by Nintendo. That they had like a sketch in the patent of their prototype, and it showed like this kind of like visor covering that went on top of the Switch, and you put it against your face, so it kind of made it VR. So I think that's the rumor mill is saying that their next attempt is to have
So it's like your
not
phone.
just the Switch.
Just
Yeah,
get
exactly.
the phone
But
holder.
yeah, I mean, I don't know how effective VR will be, but that if they if look, I got my fingers crossed that they'll
I
wow
mean,
me. Well, like when look, for example, when this
but
first Switch,
it can't be too heavy. Like it can't be too
yeah,
heavy. Like there's so many factors to consider
yes,
when it
there
comes to
are.
that.
But maybe they'll make it smaller so it's not as heavy, right? And but
But then,
I don't know what the
for
logistics
someone
are.
who wants to
I'm just
play it
being
on the
hopeful.
go, why would I want to have a
I,
smaller screen, Rish? You're making no
I mean,
sense.
well, if it's smaller and you have it close to your face, it's like an optical illusion. It looks bigger, because
Yeah,
it's
but then
closer
I
to
want to play on the go. I want to play on the go,
well,
sir. Why
look,
do
I don't
I
know
need
the
a bigger
logistics,
screen? I don't need
but
a
here's
smaller
the
screen.
but I'm being hopeful. I'm being optimistic just to hope that they're gonna wow me like they did when the first Switch.
It's gonna be like that new Huawei phone that unrolls into like three
Yeah,
layers,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're just gonna
The
so
three fold phone.
it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
gonna fold around your
yeah,
face. It's
yeah,
just
yeah. It's gonna like mold.
that's
It's
the
just be like a
future.
helmet.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be like that visor from Star Trek,
yeah.
for
No, but like,
Jordy.
like for example, like when the Switch first came out, like nobody was ready for it, right? Nobody even thought them to themselves because everybody was going to like hard, like crazy, powerful devices, playing more graphics and stuff like that. But Switch Nintendo pivoted the other way, and they were like, you know what? Let's create a system that not only can you play at home that's powerful and can play really fun games at home, but you can grab it on the go and take it wherever you go. Like that was revolutionary, right? Like
That was well,
that changed the game.
hold on. They've always done on the go gaming, so let's not. They just
Yes,
sort of
no, they
combined it
have,
into one
but
thing.
yes, I agree because they did Game Boy. They were like the first Game Boys and all that
Correct.
stuff.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But yes, they combined it. But what I'm saying is they did something very different than what everybody else was doing, right? And
Right.
that really wowed a lot of people. And so I'm hoping.
I mean,
that
I want to take my PlayStation on the go, but that thing is
yeah, no,
heavy,
that thing's fucking crazy. That's what I'm saying. So, so I'm hoping that they come up with something really interesting and really fun, where it might not, like you said, it might not be revolutionary, it might not change the world, but it might be, it might wow us because they've done it before, and maybe they might come up with an interesting concept that might make it fun to have it pressed up against your face or something. I don't know. I'm hoping. Like that's fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that was like the only thing that anybody knows about it so far. So we'll see as the things progress. But Yeah, I think that's the pretty much all. Oh, and then the new games that just came out. Uh, uh, I played both. I don't know if you heard anything about. Like, I know you probably don't care about the Visions of Mana. It's not really your type of game. But Star Wars, I think you would enjoy because it's more like Uncharted, and it's like a heist type of story, like kind of like Heat, like where they're like assembling a crew to do a crazy heist. And so uh, they both got really bad reviews, right? But
Mm.
I have played them. So Vision of Mana, I like because I like the whole Mana, what do you call it? The franchise. They have a lot of Mana games, and I've played all of them. I like all of them.
Right.
This one's not bad. It's not the best, but it's a fun game, right? It's entertaining
Right.
and stuff. As for
Right.
Star Wars, I don't know why it got a really bad review because I'm really enjoying that game. It is a lot of fun, and it definitely it's glitchy and it's not as polished as other games. Like the graphics are not as good as you would expect for a modern game to
Mm.
be. So I think they rushed the development and they put it out because they wanted to get it out. And I think it would have been better if they kind of held it back, fixed all the bugs and everything, and then released it. I think it would have gotten a much better reviews and stuff. But I think it's a really fun game, man. I think if you haven't played it, you should definitely get your hands on it. It's a lot of fun. If anybody watching hasn't played it, you guys should definitely play it. It's it's fun because it's a Star Wars story without Jedi's. There's no Jedi's, nothing. You just have your play as like this outlaw who's just runs into some problems and has to make this like the score of a lifetime to like get out of whatever like problems that they're in.
Would you say maybe potentially originally this was a Han Solo story?
I think it might have been, and I think then they decided to use this female character as the main character, because I think if you have Han, the natural buddy is you have the Wookiee, right? So I think they
Right.
wanted to have like this small creature and get like the more like younger market that likes that cute little stuff. So I think that's
Okay.
yeah. But like I said,
I watched the sort of like the trailer of the game and sort of like the preview of it. And again, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I would definitely that's probably if I can play a trial of it and test it out and see if it's something that I
you
do
can
want
probably
to
get a demo.
invest a few of my hours into it, then I think it'd be something that's pretty cool to check out. It's the weird thing is I remember hearing about it like a Star Wars open world, like
Yeah, that's what it
this was
is.
like maybe 6 months ago, right? Something
Yeah.
like that, like a Star Wars Grand Theft Auto style game, right?
Yep.
And then it was like there was like a rumor, there was like a leak of the video, and I thought that was pretty cool. But the also like coming to the release date, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm sort of isolated in Indonesia. Maybe it's not as big sort of advertising here, and maybe
It
you
might
see
not
it
be.
more. But I watch Twitch, I watch a lot of YouTube, I watch a lot of people play games. So you'd figure the algorithm would have picked up on it, and if they were advertising it here, I would have seen it. But honestly, I didn't even know it was already released up until you told me. So up until you sent me the topics, I didn't even know that the game was out. And then I had to go on YouTube and I had to look up some stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, this game is already out here. So again, maybe this market is not big enough for them to invest in it yet, because again, there's not, Indonesia has a lot of people, but the medium income is not so high, so
Yeah.
not many people have PlayStations or are able to purchase one.
And
So
then
maybe
they probably can't
the
also
advertising
can't
is
get it. Like they probably don't have it in their language either, right? Because there's only a finite number of languages that
sorry,
you can
you
get.
got frozen. You got
Uh,
frozen. I missed it.
can you
They
hear me?
can't get what?
I said
I
they
can hear you.
probably can't get in their language and in the subtitles or even in the audio. So that's probably why it deters them from marketing the game there.
Agreed. I'm the outlier here. I understand that. But yeah, I will definitely check it out. And I think, if it's a good game, it's a good game. Like, just Star Wars flavor is sort of sprinkled like Dorito
Yeah.
cheese dust on it. Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's what it is.
That's exactly
So
right.
if it's a good game and it just happens to be Star Wars, that's fantastic, and I'll definitely check it out. But I also think on the other side you have a lot of these Star Wars, like you said, there's no Jedi's, and like a lot of
Yeah.
people would be upset about this. Like, well, what do you
Yes,
mean
I
Star Wars
agree.
no Jedi? Oh my
Yeah,
God,
you a
there's no
100% will
lightsaber
lose.
battles.
Yeah, you're gonna lose customers because of that, without a doubt, right? Because there are a lot of people who cannot like disassociate Jedi from Star Wars, right? Like if you have a Star Wars story, you have to have Jedi somewhere in there, right? And I am not of that belief. I love the Star Wars universe, and I think there's so much cool shit. Like I think that like the whole bounty hunter storyline and like the Mandalorians TV show with Grogu and him. Well, Grogu's kind of a Jedi, I
I was
guess.
gonna wear a
But
Mandalorian shirt today, but
yeah,
I didn't.
that's what I'm saying. So like there's so much cool stuff in that universe. So I think that's why I took a liking to this game, but it's also just a fun game to play. Like it's fun to see that aspect of the Star Wars universe, and it's also fun because like how like okay, so like when you watch Mandalorian, it was kind of like a samurai movie, right? Or yeah, or
Yeah,
like a western. It was like a western, right? And then
yeah,
and
yeah.
then Boba Fett one was like a samurai movie, right? And then this one is like a heist movie, So it's like it's fun to see them using those kind of tropes in the Star Wars universe.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll definitely check it out. But sorry, the other game, I've never heard of it.
yeah. I didn't
I I
expect you would.
I googled the name and I was like, cutesy characters
Yeah, I
RPGing
didn't think
each
it was your
other.
type of
Not
game.
not my thing.
Yeah, I didn't think so. But I figured a lot of video game fans there is a big fan base for like mana games. So yeah, I figured I'd at least mention it, and I did enjoy the
Gotcha.
game. So, but
Yeah.
I'll next week I think maybe we'll review some either anime or TV shows, some
Cool.
stuff that's been coming out. But
Speaking of
yeah.
which, have you watched again the Netflix Terminator anime?
Yo, I love it. It's really good.
I just finished it on Friday.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
really dope. I got
oh man.
I'm up to the last two episodes. I gotta finish the last two episodes. But yeah, like I
Oh,
binged like
you haven't
the
finished it?
first
Oh,
yeah, because I was gonna finish it. I binged like the first like I think it's like 8 episodes, right? I binged the first 6 episodes, and then like some crazy shit happened at the hotel, and then I put it on the back burner, and I didn't get a chance to finish it. But I need to finish. It is a
you
really
should
dope show.
look. I'm sure you're like me that you can predict certain things, right? You can
Yeah,
predict endings and stuff.
I kind of
You're
have an
not
idea of
ready.
where it's going. Yeah,
No,
okay.
you're
All right.
it's
I'm
not
excited.
you're not ready.
Maybe
You're not
okay.
ready.
Maybe we'll
If
maybe
and
we'll
tell
do
me,
a
okay, after you watch it, okay, so we can talk about
okay.
this next week. After you watch
That's what I
it,
was gonna say.
tell me if I was right. Tell me if I
Let's do
was
a
right.
full review next week. I'll watch these 2 episodes,
Yeah.
and then the review for next week is gonna be Terminator Zero.
Tell
Yeah.
me if I was right, because again, I usually can predict endings. Like I'm watching
Okay.
TV shows, I usually know who the protagonist is, who's the bad
Yeah.
guy, who's the good guy, what's the ending, how's it sort of gonna play
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Like
How?
sometimes
Yeah.
if I predict that, I lose interest in the show and I stop watching it, and then
I don't blame you.
I end up being correct. Okay, but this one,
Same thing happened
because
to
I
me.
love, again, I've done like days of Terminator marathons from the first one all the way to the
Oh
end to the
yeah, I love
Genesis one.
Terminator.
Like I've
Oh, me
done
too.
just
Yeah.
just done and it's a blast for me because I enjoy the
I actually have
storyline. I
all of
think
them on my computer. I downloaded all of them in like 4K, and I watch them
yeah,
regularly all the time. Yeah.
yeah, it's just I think it's
I love the
fantastic. Like
storyline. Yeah, I love it.
I watched the first one and then I watched the Genesis one to compare the beginnings, how close they
Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
come to matching them together. But this one, I could not predict the ending. I could
Okay,
not predict the ending.
I'm excited.
It caught me by surprise. It was super cool.
Yeah,
It
I
was
like it a
really
lot.
really fun.
Well,
And yeah,
let's reserve the full review for next week. We'll do like a full deep dive into Terminator, because I
you
do
got it.
I'm enjoying it as much as you are. So we'll
Sure.
really get into it.
What other anime you have in mind so I can take a peek at it if I haven't watched it yet?
that I want to talk about? Okay, so one that I really want to talk about is it's called Failure Frame. It's got a really long name, but the first two words is Failure Frame. It's a new one. I think it's about to end. This season's about to end in like the next few episodes, but it just started. That's a really good one. And I don't want to throw too much at you, but let me see what else is really really good right now. Oh, maybe we could talk about how My Hero Academy is coming to an end, and that's going to be a really big one. That's getting really big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
I can definitely check.
Well, I think we're out of topics for today. I mean, we went pretty long. We did almost an hour and 20 minutes. So this was a good start. I'll do some post editing and then I'll post it up. I'll let you know when I post up the episode and see if we
Cool.
and then maybe as we go along we'll like polish it up and maybe eventually we'll do some live streams once we get some more followers on my I think my Instagram is really starting to get a lot of following, so maybe we'll do a live stream on there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
All right, brother.
You wanna stop the recording?
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording right now.